Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of video lecture on English for skill enhancement. Today's topic is subject-verb agreement. I am Arif Ahammed. I teach English at the Department of SNH, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So let's see what is the overview of today's lecture. What are the points that I am going to cover in today's lecture? So what is subject-verb concord or agreement? That is one thing. One aspect that I will be talking about, and then we'll be discussing about the rules of subject-verb agreement with example. Now, there are not many aspects in the lecture today. The only thing is, first we would be getting an idea about the concept, what is the concept, subject-verb agreement, and then we will be talking about the rules with examples. Fine. Now, subject-verb agreement. What is subject-verb agreement? It means that the subject and verb in a sentence should agree or match. Otherwise, the sentence will not sound right or it won't be grammatically right. Right. So, two important aspects. First of all, subject and verb, they should agree with each other. Now, there is some parameter of that agreement. On what terms they should agree, that we will be discussing. Okay. But you should remember as per now that they should agree. Okay. So, which kind of verb you are using would be actually decided by the subject of your subject, of the sentence. Okay. One simple example, if you are using a singular subject, your verb also should be singular. It cannot be plural. That is called agreement. Okay. Now, what if you don't follow this agreement? What will happen? One important thing. First of all, grammatically the sentence would be wrong. So that is one big problem. Apart from the grammatical point of view, even the sentence might not sound right also. So the meaning also people will not get. Let's say sometime what happens, even if we commit small grammatical mistakes here and there, our audience get the meaning. But subject-verb agreement is such a thing that if you do mistake, in most of the cases or many cases, what will happen? The intended meaning won't be conveyed. So this is very serious thing, subject and verb agreement. Please remember. So, simple example here I have given. You can see Momin is playing football. So, what is the subject in this sentence? Momin is the subject. So, what subject it is? It is singular subject. So, I am using is. Right. Now, instead of Momin, if I say they, what will happen? Can I say they is playing football? No, grammatically it's wrong. Also, sound wise, it's not sounding a correct sentence. They is playing football. So, it is wrong. What I have to say? They are. I cannot use is here. I have to use are. Plural subject, plural verb. Singular subject, singular verb. So this is called agreement. I hope the concept is clear. Now there are certain rules, around 20 rules or rules, main rules that we have to remember in order to avoid mistakes in terms of subject-verb agreement. So let's see what are the rules. Okay, so first rule, it's the most basic rule, singular or plural. I have already explained it in the example. If the subject is singular, the verb also should be singular. You can see the example. Vedant plays football. Now, plays is singular, remember here. Okay, so with noun, normally here another confusion is there. Normally with noun, what do we do? Mango, mangoes. We add s, right? Or es to make it plural. But with verb, it's opposite. If we add s, if you found a s at the end, the verb is singular. So that is one thing you need to remember. So you can see here Vedant, singular subject. What, verb I am using? Singular verb I am using. But here they is plural subject, so I am using plural verb. They play football. I hope it's clear. So it's the most basic thing. Whenever you are writing a sentence, please keep an eye over your subject. Check whether the subject is singular and plural, and accordingly you use the verb. It can be a be verb, it can be a main verb. Like in this sentence, these are main verb. So within main verb also singular and plural is there. You can see. Okay, in be verb, is, are. This is a very important thing. If the subject is singular, if you are using a be verb, he is a good boy. You can say he is a good boy. But they are all good boys. Right? So you can see the differences. Now let's see few second rules. What is the second rule? The number of the subject, singular or plural, will not change due to words or phrases in between the subject and verb. So, sometimes what happens, in the previous sentence, Vedant is playing football. You can see there is not much confusion. Subject was there, separately, one single word subject, then be verb was there and the other part. But in certain cases, what will happen? The subject might not be single word. So in that case, you need to identify the real subject and then check the number like of that subject, whether it is singular or plural. Now you can see here, one of the glasses. Now you might get confused thinking that glasses is plural. This is the subject, plural subject. So it should be are, not singular. It should also be plural verb, are. But then check here. The glasses cannot be or is not the real subject of the sentence. This is together one of the glasses. So ultimately you can understand I'm talking about one single glass. So the subject is singular and that's why is. You can see the bouquet of red roses smells so sweet. You can see here red roses. It's plural. Okay, but I am using a singular verb. But again, the subject is actually the bouquet of red roses. So the bouquet, single bouquet is the subject. So these are the things that you have to remember, right? Rule number 2. Identifying the subject is very important. Right? And then rule number 3. Subjects joined by conjunction and in a sentence take a plural verb. So sometimes you'll find more than one subject, they would be joined by conjunction and, right? So they are what kind of, they will take plural verb. So you can see Rahul and Rajiv are coming for practice. So Rahul and Rajiv, they are joined by a conjunction and. So they are plural, hence the verb also is plural. The teacher and the principal have arrived. You can see the teacher and the principal have arrived. So two different subjects joined by and. However, here you need to remember one important thing. Use a singular verb, or a singular verb must be used when two or more subjects are connected by and, but they refer to the same person or the things. Now, the teacher and the principal. Here I have used a plural verb because teacher and principal, they are two different persons, two different subjects. But what if I'm talking about principal? Obviously is a teacher also, right? So if I'm talking about one single person, then I cannot use a plural verb. So let's say if I say the teacher and principal has arrived. The teacher and principal, you can see here, the owner and manager is very strict. So they're one person, owner and manager, they are same. So that's why I'm using is. The teacher and principal, same. Teacher and principal, same person. That's why I have to use here has. Okay, my friend and guide. So again, my friend and guide means I'm talking about one person only, who is my friend as well as guide, has helped me a lot. So this is one important thing you have to remember. Now let's go to the next rule. Rule number 4. When the subject is followed by words such as well as, along with, together with, accompanied by, then what will happen? Use a singular verb if the main subject is singular. So you need to check the main subject here. Now you can see here, the principal along with the teachers is attending the meeting. So you can see subject, it is joined like it is followed by words such as well as, along with is there. So you cannot consider this. You should not even look into the number of this particular subject. What you have to do? You have to check the number of the main subject of the sentence. So this is the main subject of the sentence. It is singular, hence it is. Rahul, together with his team, is presenting the project. You can see here again, Rahul is the main subject of the sentence, and that's why I'm using is, a singular verb, because Rahul is singular. So I hope this is also clear. Rule number 4, please remember these words. Then you have to remember these phrases as well as, along with, together with, accompanied by. Okay, we do use these kind of phrases after like the main subject. Now, rule number 5, when two subjects are joined by either or, neither nor, or and nor, the verb must agree with the number of the subject closest to it. Now remember the word nearest or closest. Either or, neither nor, or, nor, whenever we use these kind of words or conjunction to join two different subjects, what happened? We need to look or check the number of the nearest subject that is nearest to the verb. Accordingly, we have to use the verb. So you can see neither Raman nor his brothers. Could you please identify them in this I am using, obviously one thing is pretty clear, that I am using neither nor, this conjunction, right? So I know already the rule. If I am using either or, neither nor, or only or nor, what I have to do, I have to check the number of the nearest subject, the subject that is nearest to the verb. Okay, so Raman and brothers, which subject is nearest to the verb? I am supposed to use the verb here, right? So obviously this particular subject is nearest. So I have to look at the number of this particular subject. When this is, you can see brothers, plural. Hence, I am using what? A plural verb. Neither Raman nor his brothers are interested in study. My friend or my brother, same logic. You can see I have to look at the closest, the nearest subject. This is plural, hence I am using are. So this is one thing. They have not arrived, nor has the delivery person. So you can see they have not arrived, nor has the delivery person. Now this sentence structure is little different, but you have to remember here I am using nor, right? Now here it is singular, nearest one is this one, and that's why I am using has. Now let's move to the next one. Next rules. Indefinite pronouns. Now there are many indefinite pronouns, as you know, each, everybody, everything, someone, somebody, something. Now in individual, like these indefinite pronouns are always singular in nature, hence the subject also would be, the verb also would be singular. You see, always singular, hence they always take singular verbs. See the example, everyone is excited, everyone is singular, so hence is. Nothing makes, nothing is singular, so that's why singular verb makes. Either of the boys has to leave, either of the boys, you can see I'm talking about either of the boys. Either here is a working as indefinite pronoun, so I am using a singular verb. Fine. Rule number, next rule, let's see next rule. The sentence is beginning with here, there, a different structure, and in such cases the subject comes after or follows the verb. So normally what happened? Normally we are checking that as per the subject we are actually deciding the verb, but when the sentences will start with here, there, what will happen? The structure changes a bit, right? What happens? The verb comes first and the subject comes later, but anyway they would be in agreement, like in terms of, as you can see, number. So see here are the chocolates. So here are the chocolates. Why I am using are? Because here the chocolates is, or the subject is plural. There is a big puddle on the road. Now here I am using is. Why? Because the subject is big puddle. A big puddle, it is singular, and that's why I am using is here. Right? Here are the keys. Keys are plural, and that's why I am using a plural verb here. Fine. Now let's see the next rule. Rule number 8. Use singular verb in sentences that include sums of money, periods of time, or distances. So these are a little confusing. At times they can confuse us a lot. So please be careful. Whenever you are dealing with sums of money, periods of time, or distance. See here. 500 rupees. Now you might think it's plural, 500 rupees, but actually it's not. We're talking about sum of money. So it is always what? Singular verb. They always take singular verb. So 500 rupees is, that's why singular. 10 kilometers, again, distance, right? So is. $10 is a high, again, sum of money. That's why 60 years is the minimum age of retirement, periods of time. So these are all singular. And that's why we are, every cases we have used what? Singular verb only. Here we have used singular verb is. In the next sentence also we have used the singular verb is. Here also I am using is. But one thing here we have to remember, if we are not talking about sums of money, if we are talking about a bill, then what will happen? $10. If it's $10 bills, we are talking about bills. $10 were scattered on the floor. So you can see here $10, I am not using it in the sense of sums of money. I am using it $10 bills, and that's why it's plural. It is plural. I am considering it as plural here, and I am using a plural verb. Where? Because I am using the past form of the sentence. Fine. So I hope it's clear. Again, if you are dealing with these kind of sentences, please understand, you need to understand one thing, whether you are talking about a sum of money or you are, trying to convey some other sense. Like here, I'm trying to convey that I'm talking about bills, $10 bills. So there are many $10 bills. Right? Now rule number 9. In the case of words such as a lot of, all of, some of, etc. in a sentence, what we have to do, pay attention to the noun after of. So you can see the example, a lot of cake. So which verb we would be using here? What is the rule? After of the noun. What is the noun? Cake. We need to look at that particular noun. Now cake is what? Singular. And that's why I'm using is. A third of the city, you can see a third of the city. City is singular. After of, which is the noun city, it is singular. That's why is. Now here see, a third of the people. Now of the people means after of, people is coming. People is plural, and that's why I'm using are. A lot of the cakes. Here cakes is plural. That's why are gone. Fine, I hope it's clear. So please again remember these words, this expression, a lot of, all of, some of. In that case, what you have to do, you have to check the noun that is coming just after the word of. Fine. So next rule, rule number 10, use a singular verb when a collective noun acts like a single unit. So collective noun is a little confusing thing. Here you need to use your understanding and you have to find out one thing. If you are dealing with a collective noun, if you are using a collective noun in a sentence, you have to check whether they are acting as a single unit. If they are acting as one single unit, then they are singular in nature. They will always take singular verb. The team wins every game. You can say I'm talking about something that the team do together, right? Winning. So they act, when they win, they always act as a single unit, right? So the team wins. That's why I'm using singular verb here. But the team are arguing among themselves. You can see are arguing among themselves. So in this case, they are not working as one single unit. They are arguing among themselves. So individual, within a team, they are acting as individuals. So that's why I have to use a plural verb here. So again, please remember whenever you are dealing with what? Collective noun, you have to understand this additional factor, whether they are working as one single unit, whether they are working as individual within a group, right? Accordingly, you have to use the verb. Next rule, rule number 11, in a sentence that expresses a wish, request, or contrary to fact, the word where is used instead of was. So here one exception is there. Normally, as we are telling that we have to, if the subject is singular, we have to always use singular verb, right? But in this case, these are the instances where we are always supposed to use where, which is by default plural. Okay, you can see here, I wish my sister were here. Now normally you can say my sister is a singular subject, so why were, why not was? Now that is the rule you have to remember whenever we use this kind of sentences that expresses a wish, okay, or like a contrary fact, we expresses a wish, but it is actually not the case, it's actually the contrary fact. So in these kind of sentences, that is the rule. We have to always use where. That is by default rule. Now rule number 12, let's come to rule number 12. Noun such as, there are certain nouns, they might look like plural, but actually they are singular, and hence they should always take singular subject. The news, for example. Now because of this S, you might get confused that it's plural, so it should be R, but please understand that is not the case. These nouns, news, mathematics, economics, they are singular. Hence, they will always take a singular verb only. Fine. Next rule, rule number 30. What is the rule? Nouns are always, some nouns are always plural. Okay, these nouns have two parts. Like now, these are very interesting nouns. Okay, they are always plural because they will be consisting of two parts. You can see scissors, you know, it has two parts, right? In scissors, tongs, eyeglasses, shorts, pants. Pants, two parts means two legs would be there, right? So they are always what? Plural. You can see my pants are in the dryer. I cannot say my pant is in the dryer. It's wrong actually. My pants are. Your eyeglasses are dirty. I cannot talk about. I can say that this is eyeglass, like specs, but no. It is single unit, but it is plural. Eyeglasses are always plural. It has two actually part, two glasses. The scissors are useless. You can see again, scissors are. So though you know when you're talking about scissors, there will be one object that you will be taking at your hand, but they are by default plural. So that's why you need to be careful about these sentences, like these words. Now, one important thing here you have to remember, if these words are preceded by a pair of, now sometimes we might not use the word individually pants. We might use a pair of. So in that case, they would be regarded as singular subject. Now you can see here, a pair of pants is needed. So if they're preceded by the word a pair of, the same nouns which were otherwise plural, they will become what? Singular. Hence, they will take singular verb. Right? Now let's see the next rule. Rule number 14 and 15 together we'll see. A number of noun, like this kind of structure, a number of and then noun is plural subject. You can see a number of dances and it takes a plural verb. So if I am saying a number of dancers, you can see this is a singular subject always. Sorry, it's a plural subject, a number of dances. So I'm talking about multiple dances. That's why, but instead of using a, if I say the number of, same structure, only the article is changing, then the verb would be what? Singular, and it will take a singular verb. So the number of dancers, you can see, I'm talking about the number. It is the subject, the number. It is singular. The number of the dancers coming to the party is. So I am using what? A singular verb here. Please to understand, if we are talking with using definite article with this structure, number of and then noun, then what will definite article? If we are using definite article, it would be singular in nature. If we are using indefinite article a, then it would be plural. The subject would be considered as plural. Next rule, non-count nouns take a singular verb. This is pretty simple. If we are talking about non-count or uncountable nouns, they always take singular. Education is the key to success. Diabetic affects many people around the world. So you can say singular subject. These are all considered as uncountable nouns. So they are always singular in nature. Next one, rule number 16. None is a singular subject. Okay, when it is used alone. So if you are using none alone, then it is a singular subject. But when used with prepositional phrases starting with of, the subject can be both singular and plural. So see the example here. None of singular subject takes singular verb. So none of the money. You can see none is singular because it's indefinite pronoun. But we are dealing with a situation here when what happens when we use the word none followed by the expression of. Okay, that's why when you use the prepositional phrase that starts with of. Now what we need to check? We need to check the subject. So none of, you can see none of plural subjects. None of the money, it is singular subject. Hence none of singular subjects, I am using what? Singular verb. None of plural subject. None of the bottles, plural subjects. So I am using are. So I hope it's clear now. Rule number 17. If a gerund is sometimes gerund also can be used as a subject. Okay, you can see here. Walking is a good habit. Walking. So it's a subject. They are always considered as singular subject. Hence they will always use a singular verb only. So this is pretty simple. There is no much confusion. Rule number 18. What is the next rule? Let's check. If we use this structure, the and then an adjective appears as the subject of a sentence, it would be always plural. See here. The pious are loved by God. So the and then adjective. So this is the formula. If we write a sentence like the and then plus the or the plus an adjective, then it would be always considered as plural. That's why the pious are loved by God. The industrious are always not successful. The industrious, again adjective, the plus adjective. The best, again the plus adjective, do not lack integrity. So singular subject. So what you have to remember here, when you use the followed by an adjective, what happens? They are always singular. Hence they always take singular verb only. Sorry, they are plural in fact. Hence they will always be, the verb also would be always plural. That's why are and do. Fine. You see rule number 18. Around 18, these are the basic rules, main rules of subject-verb agreement. If you can remember all these rules, it would be much easier for you to avoid any mistake in terms of subject-verb agreement. So this is one important aspect. Please try to remember these 18 rules. Now, how do you remember? The one way is memorizing, but please do understand that memorization won't help, because you won't be getting exactly this type of sentences as has been shown in the example. There are many different sentence structures and all would be there, right? So what you are supposed to do, you just read the rules, understand the rules, and then see the examples also to, make your understanding little more enhanced. But the ultimate thing would be practicing. And this is very important. If you don't practice, I don't think even if you read the rules again and again, you could remember them for long. So practice is the key to success. Please remember that. Especially when you are dealing with topics like subject-verb agreement. Later we'll see noun-pronoun agreement also. Same kind of rules would be there. Okay, so all these things you can be perfect only through practice. Please remember that. This is subject-verb agreement. Rules of subject. So what is the takeaway point of this today's lecture? Today's lecture would be the summary of or takeaway points of today's lecture is we understood what is subject-verb agreement. We also understood that subject and verb must go together, like they should agree with each other in terms of their number, right? So if I'm using a singular subject, my verb also should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb also should be plural. So the concept we understood, what is subject-verb agreement, and also we have understood these 18 rules about subject-verb agreement. Now, how do we identify? And there are certain things, it's not that easy. The basic rule is according to the subject, the verb we have to choose. But then while looking at the subject, there might be many confusion. So that's why these 18 rules. So these are the two main things that we have actually learned from today's lecture. I hope it's clear. Thank you everyone for being with me. We'll meet you again with the next topic. Thank you.